So you want to write a book, but you don't want to write a book. Good for you that you're here. I am here today to talk to you about how to write a book without writing a book. I'm actually going to give you several different options to do that. And I'm coming to you live, not from a recording studio. And I guess technically we're not live because this is a video. But I'm here in my bookshelf room in my house. And if you can see, I love to read. Stephen King is one of my favorite authors. I read it when I was going into the 10th grade. And so I've always loved to read. And I like to write. And my first book I wrote when I was in 8th grade, it was a fiction book that the only person that's ever read it is my brother, though he got an A on the book report he did on the book. So I like to write. In my very first book, The 4.5 Networking Mistakes, I actually sat down and wrote that one, as well as my second book too. But for a lot of people, writing a book is not what they want to do, though they do want to have a book. So here's a couple different ways that you can write a book without writing a book. You're like, huh, how does that work? Okay. Very first one, this is an ideal that Randy, who is the past president of the NSA Central Florida, shared. He actually did a presentation. It was an 8-hour presentation. He had it recorded and then transcribed, and that became the foundational element for his book. So he didn't actually have to write it. He was already sharing the content. To go along with that, another option, this will probably be where my sock book comes from, more details on that later. I've actually created an outline of here's the chapters that I want to do. I'm going to record the audio, then I'm going to send that away, have it transcribed, and then give it to an editor so that the editor can create it into a book that would work. So those both deal with, record the audio and then have it transcribed. There are a couple other ways that you can write a book. A friend of mine, Jason, did a book recently, and writing was not what he wanted to do, so he actually hired a ghostwriter. And over 10 or 12 weeks, every week he would meet with the ghostwriter, say, here's kind of the ideal for the next chapter, here's the topic, here's the conversation. And so you could work with a ghostwriter to help you put together the content for your book, lay it out, write it. Another option, my buddy Phil, I heard, he hired an editor to take his videos, his blogs, go through the content and pull that content together to make into a book. And so he took things that he had already written or already recorded and was able to turn it into a book so that he's got his content put together in a book. And so that actually gives you, 4 different ways that you could write a book without actually having to write a book. And there are other ways. Leave your ideas in your comments below if you have ideas. Here's a couple other ones. Just off the top of my head. Could you get together with other people that you know in your industry or in the specialty that you're looking to write the book and co-author a book together? Perhaps 2 or 3 of you get together and write a book. Or do you know a multitude of people in an area that you could get them together and do a compilation book where each is sharing a story? That's certainly another way that you can write a book. And so you can do the book without having to do the writing. Now, that being said, we didn't even touch at all on getting editors and proofreading. That's a whole different conversation for a whole nother day. But this way, at least, it gives you 6 different ideas for how you can write a book without having to write a book. So recap, you could have a presentation you do recorded, or you could read or say, not read because you wouldn't have written it. You can, talk the conversation. You could have either of those transcribed and then edited. You could take the content that you already have out there via video, via your blog, and have people create that content into a book. You can hire a ghostwriter. You can co-author with people that maybe like to write with your ideas, or you can create a compilation book. So those are 6 different ways for how to write a book without writing a book. Thanks for joining me, Tiffanie Kellog, with this conversation today. Once you write the book, let me know which way you picked,